Hello everyone, and welcome back to Rudy's 1/6 World for another edition in our ongoing retrospective showcase series. Now for today's installment, we'll be revisiting a line that has become one of, if not my favorites, and that is Gangsters Kingdom. And today's figure is Angelo, the Ace of Diamonds from Damtoys. And off the bat, I will say this. As collectors, a lot of times there are figures we really want because they represent an amazing character we fell in love with. Or you have just a visually striking piece. And there are also those figures we collect that we like, but don't necessarily blow us away. I will tell you before we even jump into the usual discussion that this figure left me just amazed, and it did make a hugely positive impression. And even though it's a stylized figure, it represents both an amazing character or two, and we'll jump into that a little bit later, and is one of the most impressive looking overall pieces I've gotten in a long time. So let's discuss the figure a little bit, and as the Ace of Diamonds, he is one of the more highly ranked members of the gangs that we've gotten, and I think the package you get overall really gives you that feel. So just to get the basics out of the way, Damtoys launched this line as their own original story, but they've populated it with celebrities, athletes, directors, and at times characters pulled from iconic movies. And we saw that with Vincent and Kerr, modeled after Pulp Fiction, or Reyes, modeled after Tuco from Breaking Bad. Angelo is an interesting character because we essentially get two versions of him, both representative of some very classic movies. And that is Michael Corleone from The Godfather and Tony Montana from Scarface, both played by legendary actor Al Pacino. And we'll discuss how it is that Damtoys gave us both characters in one package. But before doing that, let's talk about this release. Now, in general, I think Gangsters Kingdom figures are really nice packages, but this figure feels like a deluxe release, and you can tell from the package itself, which is oversized, and that's because Angelo comes with a chair. But Damtoys also provided an accessory pack that at first I thought was unnecessary, but when combined with the figure itself, it really helps the entire set stand out, and just elevates everything, as you'll see. So besides the figure, you get some furniture, you get a pet, and then a few spare hands, some weapons, and some additional great accessories that we're going to look at much more closely. But I will say the accessories, some of them are pieces that would normally just stay in the box at times. But with the full set, you really get an option and an opportunity to showcase everything in a great, natural way. So let's start with the big set pieces here, and immediately we'll go for the chair. Now, the body of the chair itself is polystone, so it has some weight to it, but I'm going to be careful handling it. The detail work here is great. The sides of the chair and the armrests look like they're actual leather, and there is some great detailing around the front with what look like metal buttons or studs going around the arms and the backrest. Throw in the nicely detailed legs, and you get something that isn't outlandish, but it looks like a great 6-scale chair. And on top of that, the seat cushion is actual fabric, so it just adds to the realism of the piece. Now next you get the two additional accessories from the pack, and the first one is a round side table, and the third is a small area rug. So at first you'd think, not necessary, right? It's overkill. But the table gives you a natural repository for all the accessories for starters. On top of that, it's a beautiful piece as well, really matching the couch. And the great detail continues on the sides, where you actually have little emblems representing the 4 suits from a deck of carved around the edge. So I just think, again, it's furniture in 6 scale that just looks beautiful. The area rug is also actually a nice piece too. It shows a hand holding 4 aces from each suit, and it almost feels like this is a piece that would belong where the ace members of all the 4 gangs would meet. And in the story, Angelo is meeting with the Ace of Spades, so there is some validity to that thought. And the rug also does show some almost like wear and tear, so it feels lived in and used, which again adds to the story we're seeing unfold here. Next, as part of the set, you get a cat. Now this guy is huge, so I'll start by saying I'm not a cat person. Sorry to those of you that are, but I only mention that because I'm just not sure what type of cat he's supposed to be. But he does look incredible. Like the chair, the cat is made out of polystone, and the detailing here is just incredible, with the fur really being sculpted well. And that carries onto the face and the very fluffy looking tail. What I always like about the animals in this line is that Damtoys also does give them a little bit of a stylized face to match the theme, and here the cat just looks almost regal, almost becoming a pet almost because he is a pet belonging to such a powerful member of the family. So I think Damtoys did a great job here, and while he's not essential, he does also add to the overall set. Now, with the big pieces out of the way, let's jump into the specific figure accessories, and we'll start with the hands. And you're just getting 3 extras, but they're done really well with great texture and detail along the fingers, even including his ring. And these are very specific to holding different accessories, like the switchblade or even the cigarette. And while I have complained in the past about the more recent Damtoys Gangsters Kingdom releases not including pegs, I will say this package does have spare pegs that you can permanently attach to some of these hands. So in essence, you're getting that same type of release. Now let's jump into the weapons, and we'll start with a submachine gun, which is a very unique, very interesting piece. It's gold plated with a wood grained handle, and it does include a working folding stock and a forward grip with a flashlight attachment, and even has a working action and safety. So it's a phenomenal weapon, and I think the color scheme that was selected is very appropriate for a high ranking individual like Angelo. You know, it's a little more old school and maybe just a touch on the gaudy side. Now the same applies for the next weapon, which is a gold plated revolver, also coming with a wood grain handle. Now the cylinder does work and does come out, and you do also get a nice quick load ammo piece that does fit into the open cylinder, so that level of detail is just that's amazing. On top of that, you have some embossed text on the weapon itself, including made in Brazil, and I believe it does have a Taurus emblem. So it's all very small, but again, right, the story with this line is just how each piece definitely helps to elevate the whole, but by itself it's also really something that stands out. Next up, as far as weapons are concerned, you get a switchblade, which carries on that color scheme with a wooden handle and gold accents, and the tip of the blade is covered in blood, which is for a reason. As far as detail work, this is a reused piece, and just like with the other versions, there's amazing detail work here, including some of the screws holding the knife together and the blade itself. Now, the reason the tip is bloody has to do with our next accessories, and they are a bit on the gruesome side. You are getting an eye and a tongue that can both be inserted onto the tip of the knife for Angelo to display. Now, it's a little strange to say that these look incredible, but they really do. In particular, the eyeball has great detailing with an almost glass-like reflective paint on the pupil, and then you have the nerve ending hanging off the end of the eyeball. So, yes, it's gruesome, but it's also pretty great for such small pieces. Next, moving away from the gruesomeness, you do get his lit cigarette, which also does feel a little higher end than the ones that come with some of the other figures, with the gold filter and the black just black cigarette. And what's nice is, and you'll see it later on in some of my posing pictures, is that not only can it be held in the figure's hand, it can also be held in one of the sculpt's lips, which I think is a cool extra. The other great thing with the lighter is that it actually opens. It is a really small piece and maybe not the most exciting, but it does provide the opportunity for some nice poses, which again you'll see in a little bit. Now, wrapping up accessories, you also get a glass holding some kind of a liquor, guessing it's supposed to be a whiskey or something similar, and you also get a decanter with a stopper that you can remove. And this just looks incredible because the decanter is shaped like a skull. So I think while fancy and almost elegant, it's also something that would maybe give someone a little pause, and it goes in line with the type of people Angelo would find himself associating with. And this is a piece that absolutely benefits from having the table to rest on. Now, let's look at the figure, and we'll start with the more relaxed sculpt, which is meant to represent a younger Angelo. But in terms of likeness, from the hairstyle to the more controlled expression, it looks like a young Al Pacino from the Godfather movies, so a young Michael Corleone. And just like Michael, this seems to be someone very much in control that's calculating. Now, the second sculpt is almost older, with a much more disheveled hairstyle, a grimacing expression, and a scar across his eye. So very different from the other sculpt. This seems to be someone much less in control and much angrier, which fits Al Pacino's Tony Montana, aka Scarface, perfectly. And I think it's a pretty decent representation, and even the alternate white suit seems very reflective of that Scarface movie. So I think Damtoys did a nice job here, essentially giving us both of Al Pacino's most famous gangster roles in figure form. As far as the suit, I'll start by saying that I got the hidden edition, which I think was limited to 200 pieces. And the difference is the suit. The base one is a black pinstripe suit, while the special edition is the dark gray pinstripe suit. And the other difference is the submachine gun. The flashlight forward grip is different from the base release. Now, I will say this, the tailoring on these suits and the clothes continues to be top notch. And even the collar over the suit jacket seems very retro and keeping in line with the era that the characters have been taken from. But the detail work continues to be incredible, with the beautiful suit, the alligator skin shoes with the nice tan color, and even the detail on the belt is awesome. Again, someone at Damtoys seems to have an eye for fashion, since I think this is supposed to be a very expensive brand, which again is befitting a character like Angelo. Only negatives here, I do feel like the gray suit jacket is a little more restrictive when it comes to posing. The white suit is a more cotton style fabric, so I do feel like it allows for much easier flexibility on the arms. But that is without a doubt the only negative here. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, there are some figures that you get and you just have to take a step back and admire. Whether it's the figure itself or the full package, and here, after I set up the entire set, it really is jaw-dropping. I know it's a real estate killer with the chair and the table and the cat and the rug, but it all just looks so amazing. And the accessories like the decanter, putting those on the table, I mean, if you didn't have the table, it would be very difficult to display those and make it look natural, right? So sometimes a great accessory like that would end up staying in the box. But with the table, you can really display all of these, and it makes it the display pop. And the chair too, just for a character like this who's basically a boss character, the chair just makes sense, as he wouldn't be someone that would be expected to be out in the field doing the grunt work. He's someone that's hanging back, making decisions, taking on important meetings. It really does look incredible. And on top of that, add in the recently released Vera figure, who's supposed to be in a relationship with Angelo, and it's just another amazing display option for both figures. I do also love both sculpts, but for my display, I think the Michael Corleone style is the one I prefer. First of all, just such an iconic role for Al Pacino. And second of all, as I mentioned before, I like the colder, more calculating appearance for this character. It feels like he's someone very much in charge and playing chess with all the other gang members. And I think he pairs up better with Vera in this mode than in the Scarface sculpt, so to speak. But overall, just a gorgeous set. And I know people complain about the cost of these, and they have gone up as time has gone on. And all in with the accessory pack, this isn't a cheap figure, but the pure presence on the shelf to me makes it worth it. And after having the slightly disappointing feel with the Archibald figure, this just reconfirmed how good this Gangsters Kingdom line can be. Honestly, it's a little surprising Damtoys hasn't jumped into more movie lines, but look, they're charting their own path with military, Gangsters Kingdom, Resident Evil, so I think they're finding their own success there without stepping on anyone else's toes, which I can appreciate. But looking at the set, I do hope Damtoys continues to look at figures like this and give us these options, especially since we still haven't gotten any of the queens from the series, and I think we've only gotten the King of Clubs. So with the other three kings, I would expect some high-end big sets like this one. Sky's really the limit. So that was a quick look at Angelo, the Ace of Diamonds from Damtoys' ongoing Gangsters Kingdom line, and it is a beautiful piece. While I know this line isn't for everyone, I don't think you can deny how good these figures are and how good the overall packages can be. So, having said that, let me know your thoughts on this one, and as always, thank you for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.